All right, let's talk about undistributing and zero product property. But before we talk about undistributing, let's make sure that you all remember how to distribute. So pause the video right now and try these three problems. All right, we're back. Let's see how you did. Did you get, for the first one, 12x minus 15xy? For the second one, 3x squared minus 7x. Careful here, x times x is x squared. And then in this one, do not do 7 minus 2 is 5. We have to follow order of operations, which means multiplication first. So we're going to do our distributing. It's 7 minus 2x. A negative times a negative is positive 8. Combine those like terms. And those are your three answers. All right, ready to do some undistributing? So when I say undistributing, I'm basically probably making up a word here, but thinking about what would be the opposite of distributing. So if you start over here in my little bubble with 3 times x plus 1 and you get 3x plus 3, how would you go back and get 3 parentheses x plus 1? It's kind of like division, right? Because that's the opposite of multiplication, which is the distributive property. But the key here is to think about what does 3x plus 3 have in common? Those two terms have a 3 in common, and that's the same thing we're going to do here. What do the terms x squared and minus 2x have in common? They have an x in common. So if you pull out an x from both terms, you could think of it as dividing. I don't really like division, so I would rather just put it in here and think about multiplication. X times what would give me x squared? Well, I better put an x in here. And let's keep our minus sign. X times what would give me 2x? Why? It's going to be a 2. And just to check it in our heads here, is x times x minus 2, x squared minus 2x, if we were to redistribute? It is, so it works. Now, why are we doing this? Well, we have now turned this into a lovely ZPP, zero product property question. Either this quantity has to equal 0, or this quantity has to equal 0. This is a pretty easy equation to solve. And we get our two answers. X could be 0 or 2. All right, why don't you try one like this on your own? I'll go dual so you can see both sides. Pause the video. All right, we're back. If you solved it correctly, you would have pulled out an x again, and you get x times x plus 3 equals 0. So x could equal 0. Or, that's circling. Or x could equal negative 3. My pen's going a little slow on me here. Sorry about that. And this one was supposed to be x equals 0. All right, let's try one that's a little more interesting. What if it looks something like this? X squared equals 5x. Well, the first problem is we want to do zero product property. I don't see a 0. Well, I know how to fix that. If we subtract 5x from each side, over here we're good. That's just 0. But x squared minus 5x, you can't actually do anything. Those aren't like terms. So we're just going to write this as x squared minus 5x. It's certainly not negative 4x. So now we continue on. We'll undistribute an x. That's going to be x minus 5. Set each of these quantities equal to 0. That's going to give us our answers as x equals 0 and x equals positive 5. You want to check if that's right, plug it back into the original problem. 5 squared equals 5 times 5. 0 squared equals 5 times 0. Check. All right, let's do one more. Same idea here. 4x squared equals 7x. I don't see that 0, so let's get everything on the same side. Subtract 7x from both sides. I got 4x squared minus 7x equals 0. What do those two terms have in common? Well, 4 and 7 don't have a common factor, so again, all we're pulling out is an x. X times what would be 4x squared? 4x. X times what would give you 7x? Just a 7 here. And one more time, we're getting our two answers. One's going to be 0. This one's a little bit more interesting. 4x minus 7 equals 0. Let's add 7. Don't be a hero. Don't try to solve this in your head. Just solve it out like this. 4x equals 7. Divide by 4. Ooh, ran out of room. Divide by 4. And you get your answers as 0 and 7/4. And that is undistributing and zero product property. See you later.